Hey, it's Lanaya Shanti here, and you're watching Vanity Talk Podcast. Follow my socials to get the behind the scenes and more content. And thank you guys so much for watching. Enjoy! Hi, Vanity Girls. It's Lanaya Shanti here with another podcast episode for you guys. Today's podcast episode is going to be me interviewing my mom on her experience on being a single young mom and how that transpired and affected our relationship. This is my mom. Her name is Margaret. Would you like to introduce yourself a little bit?
Sure. I'm Maggie, Lanaya's mom. Proud mom at that.
Oh, thank you.
So I'm here to join her on her podcast episode for today and hopefully answer some questions for you all.
How was your experience finding out that you were pregnant, and what were your thoughts? What were the thoughts going through your mind?
Okay. Finding out that I was pregnant, I was just like, whoa. Like, pregnant. Yeah, it was shocking. It was a little, well, very much unexpected and kind of just like I think my first thought was just like, oh my God, mommy and daddy are gonna kill me. It was just like racing thoughts.
Did they?
No, I told grandma I was scared, so I told grandma when she was in the shower. I didn't want to see her face. She is just like pregnant.
You know she likes to talk to herself in the shower.
Exactly.
She's probably cussing you out after you left.
Yeah. So yeah, I told her in the shower. I didn't tell grandma. I didn't tell grandpa. I let her tell grandpa because I was scared. So yeah, it was just shocking. Just a lot of thoughts racing through my mind. Like, oh my God, I'm too young. But also at the same time, like, okay, am I gonna keep the baby? Am I gonna tell grandma and grandpa? Like, yeah. It's just a lot of uncertainty at that time.
Okay, so when you told her, what did you think how did you think she was going to react, or did you know?
I mean, I thought she was gonna be surprised, but then I knew she was gonna be supportive because, you know, grandma loves babies. So I knew that she would be supportive. I wasn't really sure about like my dad and my siblings. I was more so worried about them because I didn't know like how they were going to react. But I mean, grandma, she was shocked, of course, but you know, she just said, okay, we'll just have to deal with it. You're gonna keep it, and we're gonna just deal with it.
Where
so
is
at
that?
first, where did you lock him?
I didn't lock him anywhere.
Yes, you did, because he's scratching at the door.
Hold on, guys. What type of mom did you think you were going to be, and what was your vision on how your life would look like?
What type of mom? I thought I was gonna be, you know, just a cool, down-to-earth, chill mom. My vision was really to just continue school, like making sure that I finished everything that I wanted to do. But I thought it was gonna be easy. Like, I was gonna be able to still go to parties and be a mom and go to school and, you know, do all those things. I wanted to make sure that you had like a happy life, that you had like everything you needed. Like, I didn't want you going through life worrying about food or worrying about friends or worrying about school or worrying about your safety or things like that. So I just first and foremost wanted to make sure that like you were good and that your basic needs were met and that you would be happy. So yeah.
Okay, so how did you feel? Did you feel like you were just going to be another stereotypical Black woman who becomes a single parent with an absent baby father, and how did that affect you?
Oh, definitely not. I didn't think that at all. And I think just coming from, you know, grandma and grandpa and the culture of just like, you know, it takes a village to raise a child. So I always knew I was going to have support from grandma and grandpa. So, and then I don't think they ever really gave me a choice of like being a stereotype or like feeling like that was even an option. So I never really like considered that to be a thing. Being a single mom, like, no, that wasn't my intention. That wasn't my thought. I thought that, you know, your dad was going to be active and that he was going to be there. So, yeah, that was my thought.
Okay. And how did it make you feel when you realized that he wasn't going to be there?
I don't think I realized it until you were a little older. Like, in the beginning, I was more so just like making excuses a little bit, or kind of just like, okay, well, once he gets a job, or once he does this, once he does that, then, you know, he'll come around. So it's really not until you were maybe like 6, or that's when I kind of realized, like, okay, the issue is with him. Like, it's not about waiting until he gets a job or waiting until he achieves a certain thing. It's more about him not stepping up to the plate to be a dad. So, I mean, it was hurtful to realize it at that point of like, okay, you're actually a single mom. You have to actually show up even the times where you don't feel like it, right? Like, you don't get that choice. So,
okay. So how did that situation, and I just want to specify how old you were when this happened.
I was 16, so I was 15 when I found out I was pregnant. Okay. 16 when I had you.
Okay, so how did that change your outlook on having children in the future?
Oh, in the beginning, I was like, I'm not having any more kids. Like, I never wanted another baby at all. I was scarred. So, yeah, and I mean, like, the pregnancy went smooth. I didn't have any complications with the pregnancy, but just going through labor scarred me. I think just being young and trying to finish high school, but then also things not working out with Mel, like all that stuff just scarred me, where I was kind of just like, I don't ever want to do this again in my life.
So how was it having to like be in high school and be pregnant and like, walk around with a belly and all that?
I mean, it was hard because like a lot of people just stared at me, and people would be like, oh my gosh, she's pregnant. Like, you could hear the whispers, of course. Yeah. But I mean, some people were really nice, and there was this girl that I went to high school with, and we were pregnant at the same time, so we kind of like bonded over that. So,
well, that's nice. Yeah. So you have somebody to relate to.
So that helped. Honestly, it helped with just feeling like I wasn't alone. But then like most of my friends, and I wasn't like, I'm very quiet, so I wasn't like life of the party, or you know, I wasn't popular in high school. So. And like when I say I wasn't popular, like I had my core friends, and like, you know, I wasn't mixy and everything. So most of my friends that I was friends with at that time, it's not like they stopped talking to me. Like, of course that changed the relationship, of course, but it wasn't like they then shunned me and didn't want to talk to me anymore. So that helps. I mean, like some of them just made jokes out of it. Of kind of like, I was always hungry, so I was always eating snacks in class. So every time I start opening the wrapper, my friend turn around like, you eating again? So, you know, it was just fun to still have the people around me that like were there before.
That's
you know,
nice.
And treat me differently afterward. So
that's nice.
Yeah, and then also one of my closest friends, Destiny, I don't know if you remember her. Her mom had a baby at 16 too. Her mom had her at 16. So I think for her, like she was more understanding about it because her mom went through it.
Okay. So do you feel like people were kind of shocked since you say that you weren't like popular in high school? People were kind of like, oh, she just popped out with a baby.
I mean, if they were, they didn't really say anything. Really? People didn't really approach me about it.
So high school just must have not been as messy as it is now, because if you had a baby now, people would have been like, isn't that the girl who sit in the back of the class and never talked? They would have been trying to find out who your baby daddy was. Oh, yeah. They would have been doing all that.
Yeah, but that's the thing now, where it's like now social media makes all of that accessible.
That's true.
Before we didn't have social media in the way that y'all have it now, so you couldn't easily find out who someone's baby daddy was, because like it wasn't all out in the world like you would find it on social media now.
That's true.
Yeah.
So how did my dad react to it?
Oh, he was happy.
As they all are.
Yeah, he wanted a baby, so he was very happy about it.
Men still the same to this day, no changing.
And I mean, I was happy about it too, because like, you know, I think I was more so being naive about it. I'm kind of just like, okay, we're gonna have a baby, we're gonna have a happy family, everything is gonna be perfect. So, you know, I was happy about it until reality actually set in, and it's kind of just like, okay, like, she's not a toy, she's actually a baby. So.
And he's a bum, so.
Yes. Excuse my child.
Anyway, so I want to dive in on how
I perceived my mom and the strain that it started to have on our relationship as I got older. Growing up, I kind of saw like what it was like to be young and people not take you seriously. And I feel like I would notice things that my mom didn't notice. I would notice side eyes from people that she probably didn't notice, or I would notice the way people talked to her that she probably didn't notice. And it kind of like registered to me in my brain like, okay, you have to be defensive or people are not going to take you seriously because, you know, like, I don't know. I just noticed a lot of stuff, and also like having a dad who kind of like wanted you to pick sides on who to believe and who to not believe. It kind of like made it very confusing on who to trust and who to respect more. So a lot of the times I was kind of in between respecting my mom and then respecting my dad, and it definitely caused a strain in our relationship. Me and my mom were not as close before, and for other reasons, of course. I think that seeing you have a kid young definitely changed my perspective on family, and yeah, it just changed my perspective on family. Like, I definitely believe now in wanting to have a family, but before I was like, no, because a guy's just gonna leave me and I'm just gonna be a baby mom for the rest of my life, and I can't deal with that. So I was just like, no, it's not happening. And yeah, that just made me look at guys in a different light, especially because I didn't have like the perfect dad for an example. So it definitely made it like hard to respect men and stuff like that. So after a while, I feel like I kind of felt like my mom was just like, I could see how much she wanted a family, and I could see how much like she wanted me to have a dad in my life. And I feel like that kind of, it was kind of like she was on her own mission. It was kind of like you were on your own mission, if that made sense. And it was a mission that I knew was about me, but it didn't really involve me, if that made sense. So I felt like that is kind of what caused the distance in it, because at the end of the day, she is young. And I think now I realize that, she did try her best, because there's only so much you can do when you're trying to figure out who you are as well as figure out who your kid is. So I understand it now, but before I felt like you were just on a completely different mission. I just didn't involve me a lot of the time, and that kind of caused like a big distance between us. And like I said, it definitely affected my outlook on being a mom and like having children. I'm definitely on the fence. I honestly see how my mom had to give up a lot of her experiences and stuff. I definitely take pride in protecting my body a lot more so I can be able to live the life I want. I want to be 30 in Dubai, so yes. We're gonna have to change some things around. So I'm perfectly fine with being an old shriveled up mother. It's perfectly fine with me. My kids will probably have a better time like that anyway, because their old shriveled up mother won't be so worried about what they have going on. So it's like a win-win for the both of us, honestly. So yes, that's my take on it. I do feel like teenage pregnancies are very glamorized in the media lately, and I just know what I saw, so I don't know why it's so like romanticized and everything like that. It's a lot harder, and I don't think people realize the effects that it has on the child. I feel like a lot of people date for the person instead of dating for the child, because it is more to it than just you're in love with someone. Because the person you're in love with might be a good husband, but he might not be a good father. So it's definitely going to affect the children, and I just don't like how it's so glamorized, because it's not cute. So, but you can definitely come up from it. My mom has been a perfect example of what it's like to come up from the trenches.
Yeah, and it was not easy. And I think even like I agree that I feel like teen pregnancies are glamorized, and especially with like shows like Teen Mom and things like that, where it's just like I couldn't even watch it. I maybe watched like 1 or 2 episodes, and I'm just like, this is stupid. Like I can't even watch this right now because I just feel like it gives the wrong impression of like what it is to be a teenage mom and the sacrifices you have to give and just real life. Like I don't feel like it actually reflects on real life when you're actually trying to be a good mom or trying to be present as well as still trying to excel yourself to something better. So I think it just glamorizes the drama and just like feeding the baby and all the simple stuff where it's just like it's so much more to it. So yeah, I agree. Like being a teen mom is not something I would recommend 0 out of 10 all the way. You know, like
very good.
I am so grateful for Naya, and I truly do feel like you have been a blessing in my life. Like honestly, but like I feel bad a lot because I'm just like there's a lot of guilt that comes with feeling like, okay, well, if I had you now, right, or if I had you when I was 30 or when I was late 20s, like I could have given you a better life, or I could have given you a different experience. So, but it's true, right? Like being a teen mom and trying to figure yourself out and trying to figure a child out and like ultimately having your child grow up with you, like it impacts the child a lot. So that's something that, like, looking back now, I can recognize, but in the moment, it was more about, like, oh, it's cute, I have a baby, right? But, like, the reality of it is, like, this is a human being that you're raising. This is a blessing from God that you're raising. And in order to raise them the right way, like, you have to first be okay with yourself. You have to first understand yourself. You have to first take the time to be intentional about being a parent. So a lot of that gets lost when you're a teen parent because your brain development just isn't there, and you as a person, you're not mature enough to like understand some things or learn how to navigate some things. So
yeah. Well, I know we've talked about like the downsides of it, but I do think it came with its positives. I feel like I was very emotionally intelligent from a young age, just having to navigate like my mom's emotions as well as my own. So that really worked out well because now I'm able to, I feel like I'm just a lot more intelligent than a lot of people my age. No shade. But that's just the way I have to put it because I do think that's like a positive that it came with. And also just, being able to express my emotions a lot better. Before, I just chose not to. I just felt like people weren't worthy to hear what was going on in my mind. And like a lot of time I couldn't really put it together how I wanted it to, but I always knew what I was thinking on the inside. And I always knew like what was going on. It also helped me be very like observant of people and stuff like that. So it has its strengths, you know, so yeah, I feel like it was meant to be. Yeah. And at least I can say that my mom is not shriveled up and old. Sad for my kids. They won't be able to say the same. But yeah. I want to talk about how we built a stronger relationship with each other and how it was changed within us. Like what changed within us to make us want to mend the relationship. 4 years ago, we was beefing. I don't know how to put it any other way, but we were definitely beefing, and yeah. So I feel like on my part, what made me want to change it was just seeing how I can't be mad at someone who's working on themselves. You know, like I wanted to be mad about it for a long time because I felt like I was kind of forced to make myself smaller to allow my mom to grow in this world. And then when I seen her actually growing the way that I wanted to, it made me very mad. So I reacted to that. But then after many talks with different therapists, I had to realize that it's very silly of me to be mad at someone who's just trying to grow. So that's kind of what made me want to change it. And me and my mom went on a trip to Europe. And I feel like that's really what enlightened me to see that she's not a bad person. And she's genuinely trying. And there is something worth salvaging here. So it would be silly to just like say that it's just worth throwing away, because a lot of people don't get to have their moms for a long time like I will. My mom's going to be up my butt until I'm 8 years old, so it won't be any use, because there's people out here who won't have their moms for very long. So it would just be silly of me to throw that all away. So I just started arguing less, because there's no point. And another thing that I want to talk about too is teenagers who are rebelling against their parents. If you want your life to be easier, just kiss your mom's butt. I don't know how else to make it. No, it's true. Sometimes you just have to be like, okay, she might know what she's talking about, so I'm just gonna be quiet.
Right, but that's not kissing your mom's butt.
It kind of is, because sometimes it is kissing butt, because sometimes you want to be able to say what you want to say, but you have to be able to retract yourself and be like, it's not worth it.
Right.
And that's kissing butt. That's like kissing the teacher's butt. I do it all the time.
That's about being humble and like recognizing that you don't know it all. But some teenagers just feel like you know everything and you've been in this world for so much longer than your mom.
That's true. I like the way you put it. The way you put it is a lot more classy. So yes. So I just had to realize that sometimes it's just, you just gotta and you might just get what you want if you just be quiet, and you might realize. My mom definitely was right about a lot of things, especially with friends, especially with like, you know, people you're in a relationship with. I feel like I take my mom's what's the word? I take her approval very seriously. So yeah, it was just a lot easier to just like go with what she says, especially like when you're entering like your senior year. I feel like that's kind of when you realize that you need your mom. I wouldn't have known how to even get onto my college website, so there's just a lot of things I had to realize, like you can't do it by yourself. And when your mom is going to church and actively trying to better herself, it's very hard to be, you know, sad, because it kind of gives like bitter and envious, and I didn't want to be that person. Mm-hmm. So yeah, what's your take on it?
Thank you for sharing that. What would you say from the Europe trip made you like have a change of heart? Because I didn't know that the Europe trip was like your turning point.
It was my turning point until like the beginning of senior year. I feel like we were still kind of arguing, but that was the point where I learned how like that you're not like against me, if that makes sense. First of all, I don't know a lot of parents who would take their children to Europe. That's number one. So yeah, that was like number one. And then just the way that like, even like, I think we had got lost at one point, and I just started to realize like, dang, like if I, like there were some other kids on the trip who didn't have their parents with them, and I probably would have been very like overly anxious and stuff if I didn't have my mom with me. And I just realized that you're like you're going through this with me, and you're very like, I don't know, very nurturing in that way. So you're not against me is when I realized, like, you know, you're somebody that I can trust. I think building trust with my mom was what was another thing that was distancing. So realizing that I could trust you in another country and stuff like that, and that you do have my back in certain ways. And there was drama on the trip, so my mom had my back on that. So I just felt like, you know, she is somebody that I can trust. So yeah.
Yeah, I didn't realize that was like, that you even like perceived all of that on the trip. So that makes me feel good to hear that. But yeah, I mean, I think for me, my turning point was more so like when it just got to the point where it kind of just felt like whatever I say is a problem. Like, I think for me, I kind of learned that I have to just be quiet too. Like, I have to kind of give you your space and allow you the time to really get to the point where like you want to hear from me, right? Because I feel like as a teen, like sometimes you're just so much into your own stuff that like whatever I say, whether it's big or small, good or bad, like it's gonna upset you because you just don't want to hear from me, mm-hmm. right? So like, for an example, like if I told you don't do something, right, and then you want to go do it just because I said it, but if Auntie Diana tells you don't do it, you won't do it. So for me, it was kind of just like, okay, Maggie, like I think she's just at this point where like I have to learn to just guide from a distance and not try to control the situation. And I think that was a big thing. Like, trying not to control.
Yes, the control.
Trying not to control. Whew. So I've been praying through that. Like, God, deliver me, please, because like, it's been a struggle with just accepting who Naya is. Like, and just accepting all that comes with Naya and not trying to control it, but just like guiding through it and praying through it and understanding that like we have two completely different personalities. Like the way that I approach things are not going to be the way that she does and vice versa. And it doesn't make either one of us wrong. It's kind of just like, okay, well, that's your personality, that's my personality. How do we get to a point where like we can really respect it? So I think for me, like, what really helped me was just like taking a step back, not trying to control, not trying to force things, and kind of just allowing you to, come to me essentially. So.
Yeah. I think that definitely helped. I think I started to realize like you allowing me to be my own person, which is what I wanted for a long time. As a child, I definitely always felt like I was combined in a box, not just because of her, but I just felt like I was constantly being like pushed into being made smaller. So I just wanted to be broken free basically. So I definitely felt you like allowing me to make my own mistakes. And then seeing how when I do make my own mistakes, you're there for me as well. Especially another turning point was definitely like in the beginning of this year with my car and everything, how you handled it without too much judgment, but guidance definitely made me realize that I do have a good mom, because there's a lot of moms who would have crashed out. And I just felt like, I can't take that for granted, so.
I think a big thing for me is like just learning that like it's okay that I'm not a perfect mom, because I think it was just like this battle of just like trying to be a perfect mom. I don't want you to see the negative parts of me, or I don't want you to see me crying, or I don't want you to like kind of put it on this facade that like I'm this perfect person. So like once I got to the point of recognizing like, okay, Naya sometimes needs to see that I'm upset, like she needs to hear. Like, because I know that there are times, like, if I'm upset about something, I'm upset, but I'm not saying anything and I'm just pretending like I'm fine. But then that also comes off as if I just don't want to be bothered with you, which is not really what's going on in my head. Yeah. So just learning to be more vulnerable and just trusting that Naya can handle it. Because I think for a long time I was trying to avoid being vulnerable because I didn't want it to affect you. But in me trying to hide it, like it was affecting you anyway. So just learning like it's okay to be vulnerable and it's okay to let her know like, Naya, today's really not a good day for me, and just trust that she can handle it and that she's mature enough to handle it. So and just acknowledging like my faults and acknowledging and apologizing when I'm wrong about stuff and not harping on things, letting it go and just moving on. Like okay, it happened. How can we do better? Move on from it. Don't hold on to stuff.
Yeah, I agree with that. I had to realize that my mom is also just another girl. So she does probably she's not just a mom. Like she has stuff that goes on in her own personal life. And she's probably not going to be happy every day. But I think that also goes in with like you not showing me that. So I wouldn't really know. You're kind of just always in mom mode. So that's kind of the only person that I knew. So I think like seeing you like start to date again made me realize like, oh, you have your own stuff going on. Just like I have problems when I'm dating, she probably has the same type of problems. So, having grace and understanding that like she's her own person with her own issues. Yeah. Okay, so what are some things that you learned from being a teen mom? Like what are like 5 things that like were like your guidebook or something like that?
Mm-hmm. So I'm gonna answer that like me now as a 34, almost 35-year-old.
Yeah, like what is some advice you kind of like some type of tips or like things that you learned that could be advice for other teen moms looking to elevate their lives?
I would say the first thing is keep God first. Like that is so important to really just get you through and to really just have a center that you are focused on, because so many different things are going to come up. Things are going to come up where you just don't know what to do or who to turn to or how to even provide for your kid. But keeping God first and at the center of your relationships, the forefront of your decisions, is really what's going to just help keep you centered. And finding that peace within God is really going to be so important so that you can really show up for your child in the way that you need to. So that's the first thing. Give grace to yourself and to others. Like, it's hard. It's hard for a 30-year-old having a baby. It's hard for an 18-year-old having a baby. Whatever. It's hard for motherhood, period. So just having grace and showing yourself love and just making sure that you are like really implementing self-care for yourself. So I think that's my third one. Like, you are a woman, you are an individual outside of just being a mother, outside of just being a girlfriend or a wife, if you are, or a daughter or a sister. So just making sure that you as an individual are okay first before you can even show up for your child, before you can show up for anyone else, is so important. So like, I've learned to really prioritize my self-care. So like going to the spa, getting my nails done, getting my hair done, all the things that really make me feel better about myself and having self-confidence just helps me to show up as a better person and really helps me to like so self-care is so important. If you want to show up for your kids and like show them a healthy person or have a healthy relationship with them, your self-care, your mental health is so important. I think that was 3. 4 is set goals for yourself. Like, if you want to make sure that your child is someone that looks up to you, someone that admires you, someone that has a role model, you have to be out there crushing it for yourself and not focusing on what guys want, or not focusing on what everybody else wants in your life, but like, what are the goals for yourself, and how are you getting there? How are you achieving it? So be focused, be focused, have fun. You only live once, people always say YOLO, whatever, but at the end of the day, you have to find your center and find your purpose, and like, what makes you want to get up every morning besides your kid, right? Because your kid is important. Your kid is someone that you have to take care of and provide for. But outside of being a mom, who are you as a woman, and what are you working towards for your own goals? Number 5. No, I think just always lead with love. Lead with love.
And never rely on a man, guys. Yeah. That's like the biggest one, yeah.
That was not even a part of mine.
Well, it's a part of mine.
That is not a part of mine. But yes, I agree. Like, learn to be dependent on yourself. Learn to find yourself and to really find joy and happiness and peace within yourself, so that you're not always seeking it in men, because that would just drive you down in the gutters, in the dirt. So just learn, like, to be independent, but also don't let that independence turn into hyper independence, where now you feel like you don't need a man and you don't need this, you don't need that, because God has put us on the earth to be with people and to procreate. So, operate in your femininity. Don't lose being a feminine woman with trying to be too independent, because we all need people in this life.
Yes. Okay, so we are at the near end of the podcast, and I want to us both to share 4 things that we admire about each other.
I love that.
I will go first.
Okay.
I admire your perseverance. I admire how much, like, even when we weren't like that cool with each other, like, you still allowed me to express myself even when you didn't want to hear it, because there's a lot of parents who will shut their children off, and I've like been around other kids who I've seen like their parents won't even let them get a word in if it doesn't like agree to their agenda or how they feel. And I appreciate you allowing me to express myself even when you didn't want to hear it, and even when it hurt your feelings. Number 4, I admire how you were able to just turn your life around. It's very inspiring for me. You've definitely set up. I don't know how to say it. I have some big shoes to fill. So yes, thank you for. I admire how you provided a better life for me, even when like it got hard and everything. And yeah, I appreciate that. And number 4 is thank you for just like always watching out and taking care of me. Like, when I need to go to the doctor, when I don't feel well, you know. A lot of people think that I'm spoiled, and I am, and I'm sorry. I don't know how else to say it, so thank you. Thank you very much. Yes.
Okay, so thank you for saying all those things. Like, it makes me feel really special. So 4 things I love about you. Definitely love your personality, like just how vibrant you are, and how carefree, and just how fun you are. So I love that, and I pray that you never lose that. Like, regardless of whatever you go through in your life, I pray that you never lose that. Okay, that's 1. I definitely admire your perseverance. Like, even through all the things that you've been through in your life, all the things that we've been through, like, you still show up every day wanting to be a better person for yourself, and I truly admire that. Like, just knowing, like, you know, all the work that you put in and trying to just change your mindset and your mentality and really trying to achieve your goals is inspiring to me. So I think that's going to go into number 3. Like, just how, what's the word? I guess it's not hustler, that's not the word I'm looking for, but like, I don't know the word, but like, you're very persistent, and like when you set your mind to something or when you want something, you're gonna go after it. Like, you're a go-getter, right? Like, and you're very creative. So even starting a podcast where nobody in the family has started a podcast, right? And everybody's like, a podcast? Like, what are you doing with that? But you're still like fearless in being able to just do it anyway and to try it for yourself. So I truly admire that about you, like just being fearless and knowing when you want something, you're gonna go after it regardless of who agrees or doesn't agree. And then number 4, I love that you're very caring and like very empathetic towards people, towards animals. I will never forget when you brought that nasty animal when we lived in the apartment.
The squirrel?
That little ugly squirrel. That thing was so ugly, and it was small. I don't know if it was a baby or what, but I'm just like, Naya, get that thing out of here now. Listen,
I gave it a bath in the little fountain. It was just laying on the floor all sad.
that thing belonged outside. Naya, not in the house.
And that's why I don't agree that you just said it flew off the balcony.
It literally did. No. You left it on a balcony.
Maybe you can't open its eyes, fall off the balcony.
That thing decided it was time to go, and I said, well, good. Go ahead and go on your way then, because... But even things like that, just like being so caring, like you don't like to see people hurt, you don't like to see people mistreated. If anybody is being mistreated or bullied or anything, like you're always the first to step in. So, yeah, I really admire that about you.
Oh, thank you. I tried.
Yeah.
Well, yes, that is the end of the podcast. Thank you for sitting down with me and having a conversation. I have been a little anxious to do this just because it's a very vulnerable situation and I'm not that great at that. But I don't regret it and I enjoyed this time.
Good. I enjoyed it too, and I am sweating because I was definitely
Yes, me too.
nervous about it too. But I'm really glad to have heard your like perspective on things. So.
Thank you. And also, I just want to say before we end it that I apologize for certain things that I've said to you when I've been upset, like calling you awkward or weird, because you're not awkward or weird, because that's the things that people say about me. Mm-hmm. So me ever saying that to you was just purely me projecting, and you know, I don't think you're awkward. awkward, I mean I'm awkward. You know, I think that's a quality from you that you gave to me. Not in a bad way. I don't see awkward.
Gave you the awkward quality.
But it's not a bad thing because it actually adds to my humor. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
You're not weird.
Okay, good.
Yes, you're just different. So am I.
Yes. Well, thank you for apologizing because like things like that, like I really value the things that you say. So sometimes when you say things, like it really sticks with me, and I think about it all the time.
Oh, I'm
so
sorry.
That's something that I've also had to learn. I'm just like, okay, sometimes when people say things, like they're projecting, or sometimes when people say things, they don't mean it. They just, are hurt in the moment, so they say whatever. So thank you for saying that. But
Yeah, I don't think you are. Even like with like me saying like you're kind of like awkward around my friends. Somebody actually slid up on my story yesterday when I posted that I was going to be doing this podcast today, and they were like, yeah, and they were like, that she always kind of like admired like you made her feel like a type of way when I was younger in like a good way. So I definitely see that you definitely have an impact on everyone that I bring around. I could definitely see that, like they admire your opinions or like things that you have to say. So I definitely think that you're just more reserved, which is a good quality because you can't give your personality to everyone. So
thank you for saying that.
you're welcome.
We made it.
Yeah, sorry. I get really awkward sometimes when my mom looks at me.
Why?
I have to explain it.
I don't feel like you're awkward.
Yeah.
But do you feel like you're just trying to say the perfect thing?
No. I just feel like, I don't know. This feels like when we used to be in therapy. I feel like, yeah, we used to do family therapy. This feels like family therapy, just without a mediator.
Yeah, but look how much we've grown.
Yes,
where we can do this without a mediator.
I do see that.
So like that's growth. That's God.
Yes, it is. Very much so.
Yeah. But I would say the biggest thing I want you to take away from all of this is just like, love yourself because you're amazing. Now you really are. And like, I'm just so grateful to God for bringing you into my life and for like blessing me with even being your mom. And that's something that, I have taken for granted at times. So, just seeing who you are now as an 18-year-old, like I'm really proud of you. Like, I truly am. Even being able to get up and just move to New York, right? Like, I'm just so proud of you, and I pray that you are proud of yourself, and I pray that you really find your way and you don't let anyone dim your light.
Thank you. Yes, thank you. Thank you for supporting my dreams.
Of course.
Yeah. Okay, well, that's the end of the podcast, guys. Thank you guys for joining me and my mom tonight. Please like and subscribe and join the conversation, as well as follow me on my Vanity Talk podcast Instagram. Thank you. Bye.